Hey, Craig, did you miss me?
It's been 41 days since
It's
we
weird
last
that
did
you know
this.
to the day, but that's cool.
I mean, I had to look it up because I knew it had been a long time. Someone asked me
Yeah.
how long, and I was like, I don't know, 6 weeks, maybe.
Uh-huh.
So pretty close.
It's like the third time you've said it.
41 days. Yeah, I mean, I went
It's
and I
like the
looked.
plot of a movie.
Yeah. Has anything happened in the last 41 days? In
Yeah.
Poker? Poker specifically?
Yeah, there's been a lot of poker news. There's been a lot of Caitlyn news. There's been a lot going on that we have to catch up about. There have been Texas clubs that have been raided. There have been changes at the lodge. We're going to have a fun show today.
Yes, there's been a lot. You said Caitlyn changes. Did you get a dog or something?
No, I went viral on the internet. and I quit smoking.
All good news, all good things. So there was a cheating scandal.
There was, yes.
That everybody talked about publicly except for us, apparently. It was kind of a wait and see situation, and I think we're still waiting and seeing, sort of, but it's kind of lost its luster, I think. But it was one of those weird situations where it went outside of the poker world, which is fascinating because everyone that plays poker and plays it a lot, they have friends that know they play poker, and those friends know nothing about poker other than the fact that they have a friend that plays poker.
Yeah.
And they might see that person on a live stream and be like, "Oh my, that's not real money, is it? Right? You had $7,000. You were playing with $7,000." It's like, yeah, that's real money. If I lose that, I lose it. Like, no way. But those people were contacting their friends that play poker because they heard about this. It was just that big of a story, and they were going, What do you think of this cheating thing? Do you think she was cheating? Do you think she was not? And it was really, really interesting. I was of the school of thought from the beginning, there's just no way there was nothing nefarious going on from the very beginning. And I happened to be watching this one live. And immediately, when she called, I immediately said, she's cheating. And Jackie was there with me. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you just can never find a call there. I just don't understand how you could ever find a call. You're beat by 90% of his bluffs, even in that spot.
I think I had a situation to a lot of people in poker where it's like, there are Redditors and Discord channels and WhatsApp chats, and these things get out really quickly. And the Hustler has the longest delay of any of the streams, right? So I had heard and been tipped off, and I'm sure a lot of people were, that Garrett had left because of suspected cheating midstream, and that was common knowledge, I think, to a lot of poker people before they even saw the hand. So I know I fell victim to this, and I'm sure a lot of people did, where you go in watching it looking for cheating and assuming cheating. And I think that was an issue that, I'm sorry, what's going on, Jack? Oh, okay. I just didn't see him moving, and I was like, oh, he's taking off his headphones. I'm fucked. No, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
So I was not steered in any way. I just happened to be watching it. And I thought, wow. I mean, for anyone that doesn't fully understand, I think you can kind of see, especially if you know Garrett and watch Garrett at all, who's just a fascinating poker player to watch. He's probably the best live cash player in the world, or definitely one of them. And to watch him, the money is sort of inconsequential, which the argument could be made that it was inconsequential on both sides. But the money for him, when he makes a bluff for $100K, he expects to lose it, or he's okay with losing it. He doesn't expect to lose it. He was actually smiling until he saw the hand that he was called with. He has 8 high. He knows he's losing if he calls and bricks off. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to win with 8 high, but I'm not going to lose to Jack high. That's very, very strange and very much outside the bounds of normality. That's exactly why you make the move that he made, is to get that hand away. Yeah, and I guess the argument for not cheating, you could say that, Robbie clearly had it out for him specifically. She wanted to beat him specifically. I felt not a grudge in a nefarious or malicious way, but definitely you watch her play him versus the other players, and there's a different, impetus or need there. So I definitely think that it was she was looking for that kind of an opportunity. So that's how I can kind of sway myself into thinking, well, maybe she didn't cheat. And I said this on the Solve for Why podcast, but it's the fact that I went there is the evidence that I don't think that those players are being cheated by the production house, or I wouldn't have gone there. So I don't really think the production house is involved. I know Ryan and I know DGAF, and I don't think that they're cheating those games. Yeah, the thing that has not allowed me to really change my thought on the whole thing, too, is just the number of times that story has changed on her side. Like Garrett's story has been the whole time.
Yeah.
Everyone else's story that's had any question at all. I agree with you. I don't think production had anything to do with it. And that's been a pretty common opinion from everybody's like, I don't think Hustler Live has anything to do with this. I think maybe something else was compromised. It's possible. Maybe it was just that one single hand. If somehow someone peeped Garrett's hand there and somehow got the information to her just on that one hand, I think that's possible. And
I will say that on the whole changing stories front and just sort of Robbie's suspicious behavior, as some people are perceiving it, she was accused of extramarital affairs like immediately. Like that Doug video came out the next day and he put her on blast for thinking that he was having, and I don't know the truth and I don't pretend to, and much love to all the married people involved. I'm not going to talk about your marriage and I hope nobody else does either, but I just want to bring it up to the point of like, that would make me change my stories if I thought my marriage was in jeopardy. Or if I, and like, what are the things that she lied or changed about? Like, who was at Javier's, how long they were at Javier's, and sort of what was going on in her own head when she was in a high pressure, crazy situation. I melt down on streams. It's an incredibly high amount, and I'm not even playing for as much money as she was.
There's just so much contradiction, though. So it's one thing I can understand, right? I've not played on a live stream, but I can understand the pressure that would come from that with all eyes on you and whatever. But she doesn't say any of those things. If she did, it'd be a lot more believable. Or if she just, from the moment that it happened, when someone's like, wow, what were you thinking there? Like, explain your thought process. If it was one story and it was the same story and it was like, I don't know, I just lost my fucking mind. I just lost my fucking mind and threw the chips in. It's hard to prove otherwise because we've all been there. We've all seen other people do it, not necessarily in a live stream. Maybe for $20 in a home game, you're just like, well, I call. I don't know. I call. And it's like, well, I thought you were full of shit. And it's like, well, you had Jack High. You lose to my full of shit. And it's like, well, I don't know. I got rat-holed into thinking you were lying, and turns out you were, but I just got kind of lucky in my, spazzing off and throwing all the chips in the middle.
I played the man.
We've seen that, but we've not seen it for $100,000. And this was really, really a unique situation. But anyways, we'll never really know the truth unless somebody confesses. And
I don't think we ever really will. I'll be very interested to see what the aftermath is in terms of like Robbie playing on live streams and Garrett returning to live streams if he ever does. I don't know that he would, sort of just based on the statements that he's made so far.
They should play Heads Up for like $1 million.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Even if a company came in and put up like half the money and they just play for it, it's like a free roll for them, that would be pure entertainment. That'd be excellent.
I definitely think people would tune in, but whether or not both of them want to participate and can agree on,
Yeah, I don't think anytime soon.
Terms.
But that would be hilarious. And there was so many eyes on this that there would be eyes on that if they were going to play each other again. It's kind of like in big time fights when there's some controversial ending. It's like everyone wants the rematch. It'd be really funny.
No, I think a huge reason why people were so fascinated and why this story has dragged on and there's been so much uncertainty around it is because of all the eccentric and wild characters involved, which, takes us back to the video that I decided to make and that popped off because, like, these characters are freaking wild. Like, Robbie is on another planet. She's... I've never met a woman like her. I had the pleasure of meeting her when I was in Vegas, and she's just like a kooky, free-spirited, like loon. Like, she's so fun.
Well, and I think for a lot of people, talking about how the story got out of poker and out of the realm of poker, I think anybody that happened to tune into one of Joey's live stream 10-hour, 12-hour, 15-hour podcasts, they're like, what the fuck? These people are just talking about poker? Like, yeah. And he's getting all these like top poker personalities from all over the world. Just
it became like
in.
a slumber party. He was able to sort of rally the community, be like, hey, we're having some slumber parties. Y'all want to hang out and talk? And we were all like, yes, daddy, please. I'll make popcorn.
Yep. And so you decided to create a video kind of making not a mockery, but just you were all these characters, which is so epic.
Yeah, it was very sort of not impetuous, but impulsive. I told this story on Software Way too, but like I was having coaching. I was on a Zoom meeting with my coach and his other student, And just sort of like the idea occurred to me, and I just started jotting down like some notes and ideas on a legal pad. And then when the coaching session ended, I just was like, okay, well, let's just like go to Halloween Spirit and get it done. And I was lucky enough that it was October. So I just like went to Halloween Spirit, spent $100 on wigs, and, you know, just like followed through and just didn't say no to myself.
It was a perfect meeting of all of your relevant skill sets.
Yeah.
Where you're definitely able to pick up on cues in people's behavior and stuff like that, and able to get it out in a video in a way that's understood, especially by people in poker that know all of the personalities or most of the personalities that you're making parody of.
Skewering.
And it was super, super funny. So that led to, of course, Twitter blow ups, and then you went on Solve for Why. And I mean, you know, most of those guys or all those guys beforehand, but it was cool to see you go on there and go on Joey's pod, which was pretty cool too.
Yeah, I hung out with Joey in Las Vegas too. After I went to Los Angeles and I was in Vegas, we met up a little bit.
Did you get, quote, out of line at all?
No. We were just making content together. He's a good man.
Yeah, he seems super cool. I always thought he'd be really, really fun to hang out with. So you went on Hustler Live. We alluded to that. Mm-hmm. So second time on the show. Mm-hmm. Different result, but as far as going on again, would you do it a third time?
Of course I would. Yeah. I mean, it's the most popular stream. They're curating some of the best games. I definitely want to be a Hustler Casino reg. And so the fact that afterwards, Billy said publicly that I was welcome to come back sort of, you know, at my leisure, that was really cool because there was, after the first time I went on, there was some debate. I never heard this from Hustler directly, but I heard it from other people that, you know, maybe I wasn't super welcome back anytime I wanted. So now I am, and that's really cool and extremely valuable. I did book my largest loss ever on Hustler Casino Live. I lost $20K. I got 2 pretty rough coolers. The first one, I honestly was probably the harder one to fold, but I thought just based on the player profile, it could have been easier for me to fold. So that's my biggest regret is calling with the jack high flush, even though, you know, what was that, second or third nuts? I forget what was on the board, but you know, he had the queen high flush, I had the jack high flush. That's just like a cooler all day, and you just kind of have to say la vie. But I kind of wish I had put that one in the muck because I know he was playing like the tightest at the table by a long shot. Even when there are like 3 pretty girls that are V-pipping 10, he was, you know, playing more conservatively. So I regret paying him off. The 2-pair hand between DK was just like absolutely wild. He check raised me with a worse top pair, and then when I had 2-pair, and then just like got the turn card from the heavens and made a slightly better 2-pair, and then called my all in. That one I don't know that I have regrets about against a player like that that's just like really tricky and going to be bluffing, you know, a significant amount of the time. I have 2-pair against different players. I probably don't play that hand in that spot that way, but I did my best job with him. So I'll get another crack at him. I'll get to go back to Hustler. It was always like a wonderful time. I got to hang out with, you know, really cool guys and gals. I got to know Bob a little bit better. Haral Bob is a really fascinating and interesting character.
Harry Potter, you mean?
Yeah, Harry Potter,
Yeah.
Harry Bob, Harry Potter. And then Shishimi's a loon. And Sia was a new gal. Margaret, I was kind of on a double date with Haral Bob and Margaret. Margot, rather. And it was so awful. Like at one point, she had gotten up to go to the bathroom, and I was trying to talk to him and like banter or whatnot. And I was like, "Hey, can I guess your astrological sign? Can I guess your sun sign?" And he goes, "Wait a second. Wait till Margot gets back. She really likes astrology." And I was like, "You're fucking kidding me."
Can't even talk to you while she's gone.
You're not even gonna talk to you. I have to wait till she gets back to speak to you. So no, that's just me ragging on her all Bob. He was just being fun. She's got Scorpio in his bio, but yeah, I think a couple. I think they're dating other people. I don't know. I don't know their personal lives, but they definitely did have some chemistry.
The 2-pair hand, I've always likened that to like driving on the highway. Like, yes, everyone's speeding, and occasionally you're going to be the one that gets pulled over and gets the ticket, but we're all speeding. Yeah. And we're going to continue to speed. Yeah, it's going to happen. Like, especially that player, you flop 2-pair.
And it is a really draw heavy board. He could have had hearts. He could have had a straight draw. He could have had a naked king. You know, shit happens.
Yeah, you can't. You didn't show up there to fold in that spot. Not in that spot. And same for him. Like, you can't really blame him. Like, if he's going to play that hand the way that he does when he turns two pair, like, he's getting the money in. There's nothing going to stop him from doing that. So similar plight to Brad Owen. You book your largest loss on a stream. It's very public. And then you're just like, you know what? I'm going to go make like double that. I'm just going to go bank off a tournament score and just make it all back.
Well, in between, I went to Las Vegas. I decided to give myself a little bit of a vacation, but it was like I knew a lot of people in Vegas were going to be there with like the 5 Diamond tournament going on, and it would be like a great networking opportunity to me. There was a lot of heat on me because of the viral video. So when I got invited to go on Hustler, and like he invited me Saturday after banking hours had ended, and I had to figure out a way to get my 30 liquid on Monday in Los Angeles and buy and sell, you know, pieces of my action and get my investment team in place. So it was a really quick turnaround, and because I made that decision so quickly, I was like, oh, you know what, after Los Angeles I'll just go to Las Vegas and I'll tack on that trip and we'll do some networking and it'll be awesome. And it really did work out. I was able to hang out with so many people and make plans to make content in the future, and yeah, I was really glad that I decided to go. And I actually did get a lot of my Hustler loss back. At least 40% of the money that I personally lost playing Hustler I got back at the Bellagio 5-10 game over like 3 sessions. So that was like a really good confidence coming back into Austin. And then when we got back to Austin, yeah, it was tourney time, monthly monster time. And I was always going to play that. That was always on my schedule. And I played the first day flight on Friday. Friday, I played the day flight and I busted in like a cooler fashion. I was sitting at the table with Ari, actually. Ari and I were at the first table in our first flight. And he had that great, and Ari's the guy who I played heads up with for 100K.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But but I was playing like a banshee all day. I was playing really fun. I was getting a lot of bluffs through. I was tabling them. I was bantering. Like I was really like I was on my shit. Like I felt like I was truly Caitlin. And then I got kings in versus queens all in pre-flop. I thought, oh, this is awesome. I'm finally gonna bag like over 400K and like this is awesome. And unfortunately, just like queen in the window. So that busted that first bullet. That happened around like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So the next flight starts at 5. So I had to decide, do I want to come back on Saturday where I know they're going to be the biggest flights and they're going to be more people bagging, or, you know, I'm already here and I've been staying up really late and my hours are crazy. So why don't I just go so I jumped into the 5 p.m. and I was able to bag that flight. So I got in on 2 bullets. I bagged 354,000, which is the most that I've ever bagged in that tournament. And I've made 2 deep runs before. I got second for 60K in April. And then more recently, like 2 months ago, I think I got like 27, 30, somewhere in that range to where I'd made a decent run. So I was really happy to bag 354. And day 2 went, you know, pretty smoothly. There wasn't a giant field. The field, no offense to my opponents, but the field was softer than any tournament field I've ever been a part of. Like I looked around when we were at the redraw, 27 players left, and I'm like, I'm probably the most skilled player left in the field. Just in terms of because it's Austin and I know everybody here and I recognize people and I know what they do. So yeah, that gave me a lot of confidence just looking around and knowing that I had done the work and I had put in the study hours to confidently look around with 27 players left and go, this is my tournament to win or lose right now. And
there was some 40K of overlay in the tournament as well, which is
30, closer to 30, 28. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought I did the math on it. And
they announced what it was on their Instagram, and I remember it was 28.
So going forward, do you think they'll continue that?
I've heard no. I haven't gotten this confirmed from lodge staff, but my understanding is that so many people, because we don't, you know, we have a newer community. We're not used to. Anyway, long and the short of it is I think a lot of our regulars and people that play the tournament quite regularly, our 1, 3, and 2, 5 players especially, are getting burned. They're firing 4 to 6 bullets into these things. And then, you know, for the average player, like $2,500, $3,000 is like enough to make you want to slow down and not play cash as much. So I just think in terms of the poker ecosystem in general, the lodge is making the decision that they don't want to continue to offer these tournaments just because it's not good for the community. Like, yeah, one person comes out with 100K, but way more, like a dozen people per tournament are going to lose more than they can afford firing into these tournaments. So I don't know if that's the main reason, but I have heard news from the block is that they will not be continuing with the monthly monsters next year. I think they'll probably still do 2 major series. Well, they'll have larger events with larger guarantees, but I don't think they're going to do it again where it's like a monthly 500K guarantee with the point system with the free roll at the end. Which, by the way, I secured my spot in that free roll by getting this tournament.
I think by being like in the final 3 tables, you were probably going to secure that spot.
At least the final table, because I was sitting at like 20th or 21 in points, and the top 18 players in points get it. And the next player had like $5,000 worth of points more than me. So yeah, I needed to get like top 15 to get back into the points. But I got a good enough result that I'm pretty squarely in there now. Someone who's, they can't bust me out.
So the other thing too, thinking about that is like they probably have a better chance of making their guarantees in the series if there's not a $600 tournament every single month. When they have a $500 one with a 500K guarantee that only comes up twice a year, I think people are going to save some money and fire their bullets in that rather than fucking them off in a 600 every month.
I mean, hell, I won 100K playing those tournaments this year, so I'm obviously okay if they want to keep the monthly tournaments going, but I also understand why they're not. And whether it be, overlays, obviously, the tournament clubs can't make money. But I will say, I want to give the Lodge a shout on the back. They gave themselves this pat on the back, but there's so many tournament houses and clubs and casinos this year that have in online forums that have canceled guarantees when they know that they're not going to make it. And that's not a choice the Lodge has ever made. They're always paying out their overlays. And that's not only good business, it's just like so honorable for them to come into our community and protect us like that, because we're not seeing that in other casinos and poker houses. So I want to give the Lodge their due receipts. That we should all thank them.
It's almost like when they say guarantee, they mean guarantee.
Yeah, they understand the basic definition of the word. They're pretty damn cool.
This came up last night at a game where we were talking about if a straddle gets ultimate last action, and I said no, and they were like, oh, well, some places do that. And I'm like, well, sort of, like in San Antonio, where they say ultimate last action for the straddle, unless it gets 3-bet before it gets to the straddle, and then you act in turn, which is a weird using of the word ultimate.
Yeah.
Ultimate, sort of, last action. I always thought that was super weird. And the first time I heard it, I literally thought they were fucking with me. I was like, why would you use the word ultimate? Just like say sometimes last action or kind of last action. There's about 100 words better than ultimate there.
Speaking of rounders, I wanted to talk about, they got a tournament series going on right now where they've put themselves out on the line with some pretty major guarantees. A lot of awesome players headed down there for that. Another change at the rounders is that Bet on Drew, who's an ACR pro, is now partnered with them and is working with them to help vamp up and fortify their live streams, Rounders Live. So if you haven't already subscribed to Rounders Live on YouTube or Bet on Drew, give that a shot. If you want to be on the Rounders live stream, reach out to Bet on Drew. He's working on that. So all our love and success wished to a Rounders Club down in San Antonio. I know they do a really good job as one of the largest and well-liked clubs in Texas. So we wish you well, Rounders.
I've still not been there. But I have some work coming up in San Antonio in the next few weeks. I might have to check it out.
Yeah.
But I've still not been there.
Well, they're unique because of that 1-2-5, 75% match the stack game. That's why everyone goes to play there.
Yeah, and they really don't have a bigger game. That is the big game, but there's like multiple
No,
tables
I mean,
of it.
DQ and Chaz and Rhonda and all them put bigger games together. I don't know if there's a weekly. They used to play on Friday nights. Now I think they may play on a different game. But no, they got big games.
But what I've heard is on a daily basis, that is the big game. And it's kind of iconically Texas in the fact that it's just a game that you think, oh, 1-2-5, and you show up with $500 and you're like, no, you're you're going to need many, many trips to the bank if you really want to play in this game. And there's like 5, 6, 7 tables of it going, and it's just bananas on a daily basis.
And I mean, that's something that we've talked about for the entirety of our podcast. And one of the first cash game changes that the Lodge made was organizing their, cash structure and the buy-ins and the caps. And, You know, that got a lot of pushback, especially from the 2-5 community. So much so that a lot of 2-5 players won't play 2-5 Hold'em anymore. They want to play 1-2-5 Omaha, or they want to play something different because they, you know, are still a little bit butthurt about the Lodge taking away that match the stat game.
Yes, they want that iconic Texas mega deep, which, by the way, I had a game that you were too good for. You signed up, had you on the list. This was a game in my home.
That was the game that I played the Hustler that night. Correct. Because they invited me a day and a half before, and Correct. I went to Los Angeles.
So I had to scratch you from the list last minute because you got invited to play Hustler Live. Mm-hmm. And I then had to bring a TV out to my garage where we were playing that night. Mm-hmm. And set up my Roku and all that stuff just so everybody there could watch you play. Because everyone was like, hey, Caitlin's going to be on Hustler. We got to watch it. And I'm like, yeah, she was supposed to be here. She fucking ghosted us because she's like, hey, I don't want to play 25 cent, 50 cent poker. I want to play on Hustler Live again. Whatever. But I will say, I'm going to do that game again. It was very well received.
Oh,
and I call it the biggest little game in Texas. And it was so much fun. It was absolutely crazy. It's 25 cent, 50 cent, and the buy-ins were just massive. It's uncapped from the start. So
here's something that I struggle with as a higher stakes player. I'm going to be really honest with you right now, and I hope I hurt your feelings. But no, so right, my bread and butter is 5-10 or larger, right? That's what I'm playing. That's the stakes that I'm at right now. When I go to play those games, that's work. And I don't get that many days off. I don't give myself that many days off. I usually get about 1 day a week where I'm like laying in bed doing my chores and like taking care of me, self-care. So often I find that people try to invite me to play micro stakes poker on my fucking day off. And I have to be such a fucking bitch to people because I don't want to play micro stakes poker on my day off. And I don't want to play your little birthday tournament or your little this or your that. And then I show up and I'm like, okay, what are we playing for $50? And someone will be like, no, we're playing for $200. And I'm like, what? I'm donating. That's so rude. Just hand me a shot and you can take $50. I swear to God.
Okay, two things about that. One, this game was 5-10 or bigger. It just had 25 cents.
I don't want to hear that anymore. Everybody, oh yeah, it is 25, 50 cent, but it really plays like a 5-10. Bullshit, it doesn't. If people can buy in for $40, it's not playing like a 5-10. Shut the fuck up.
There was 2 tables. One table had 99% of the money that was in the overall in play was on one table, and then 1% of the money was on the other table. When people showed up, I literally asked them, do you want bananas table or do you want poker table? And the bananas table was straddled around to the button for 32, like for an hour straight.
32.
Yeah. It was absolutely crazy. And everybody was like, it was exactly what I wanted it to be. I really wanted just this absolutely crazy, deep, like when people come to Texas for the first time and they're like, oh, I'll just jump in and play 1-2 or 1-3. And they go and like, there's $1,000 and everybody's stacked. They're like, what the fuck is this? Oh my God, everybody's 500 big blinds deep. So I thought, let's take that concept and magnify it even more. So that's why the 25 cent, 50 cent, but I call it the biggest little game in tech because it's 25 cent, 50 cent, sure. But it's absolutely a massive game. And it was a lot of fun and everybody's, when's the next one? They wanted to play the next week and my idea was like monthly. And so we're going to do it again. I'll invite you again and then you can go play Hustler Live instead. So
no, it's just like when people want me to come work on my day off. And they're like, oh, no, it's not work. It's like, no, I play this game for a living and I'm not going to sit down and play it in a way that I can't play it on stream because I'm going to form bad habits. Like, I don't want to, when people are like, oh, just come and splash around and like, whatever, you don't have to be like you, Caitlin, trying to win. It's like, no, I don't want to do that because I work hours and hours and hours to create a persona and a strategy and heuristics that make it so that I don't make mistakes. And if I go and I play in a splashy different way that's like, oh, I'm just jargon, then it's not good for me. It creates bad habits and I don't like to do it. And sometimes mama needs to rest.
I had someone last night at a game, someone that I really, really like. And he said, hey, I'd like to play more poker. I've played maybe 20 hands of poker at the same table as this guy, and he's a nice guy. I like him a lot. And he was like, hey, I want to play some more poker with you. And I said, well, you're going to have to come down in stakes. I said, I hate to break it to you, but I don't like playing poker for thousands of dollars. You know, he's like, I don't care. He's like, I'm saying I want to play poker with you.
Aww.
And that's something I dealt with a lot in golf, is a comp that I would make. I played golf at a high level. I was competing. I was playing professionally. At one point, I was playing for money. I mean, that's literally what I was doing. And yeah, there were people that were like, oh, come play in this charity scramble. But I'm a little wired differently, I guess. I didn't, maybe that's why I didn't make it. I didn't really view it as work like that. It was like, well, it's still golf, and it's a day that I don't have to be just 100% just grinding. But there are definitely pros that would say like, no, I'm not going to go play some scramble where I'm swinging as hard as I can because we already have a ball in play and it doesn't matter. And like, I'm trying all these stupid shots. Like, I'm not doing my normal stuff. It's going to cause me to get bad habits. And plus I could use a day of rest, and I don't stand to gain anything by doing this. And it's just different schools of thought. So I respect it. It's just, maybe just come hang out. You can game girl.
Here's the thing is whenever people, exactly. Yes. People will ask me to go to their micro stakes games all the time, and I'll say, I'll come and I'll game girl. If y'all want to tip me to bring you beers, like, yeah, I'll come and do that. But
Jackie can teach you how to make a coffee full of love.
She better. No, but sorry if that makes me sound shitty or whatever, but it's just like when I sit down to play, like, even if I'm playing 5-10 cent on ACR, like literally I turn off my music, I do a meditation before, I like am working on my like, I take poker very, very seriously, and I don't want to fuck up my relationship with that. And it may seem like, oh my God, I'm, acting a fool on stream or getting drunk or this or that, and it may seem like I'm not taking it that seriously, but I promise you I do. I promise you it's all calculated, and I don't want to mess with that. I spend a lot of time thinking about it, and it's really fucking stressful to play poker.
It'd be like asking one of your friends who's a high-profile defense attorney, be like, hey, can you take some time off of this murder case that you're working and help me get out of my DUI?
And it's also, well, like, another part of it is I feel like people want me to, like, they want to get me down to their level. They want to force me to play their stakes and force me to play their level, and then they want to beat me and say they beat me, and it's like, no, you didn't beat me. And then the competition, like, shitty part in me is like, no, I don't want to, like, play a game I don't care about and lose, and then like my street cred is fucked up. Like, oh, okay. I don't know. I should probably be more laid back about everything is what this conversation is teaching me, but I'm not.
This may be a very natural bridge. The top 5 I had prepared today is the top 5 fuck yous in poker. So, like, not actually saying words.
I love it.
Or even giving the gesture, but just things that you do that pretty much let that person know that is what you're saying.
Love it.
So, number 5. Nice hand. This has been on like 2 or 3 other top 5s, but it's like whenever someone says nice hand in poker, they do not mean it. Yeah. The thing that I've noticed is when people say
good catch.
When people say good hand, they mean it. I've noticed that it's nice is the differentiator here. Nice versus good.
Yeah, I just feel like they go hand in hand with the good catch. Good catch is such a fuck you. Oh, yeah. Good catch. Like, you didn't beat me, you had to get lucky.
Yeah.
Well, that happens 30% of the time. Learn your equities.
Yeah, nice hand is definitely like a fuck off. Like, just fuck you. Nice hand. No chops. I think this goes for tournaments and for the scenario where it folds down to the blinds, and usually the small blind will be like, you want to just chop? And the big blind's like, no, let's play. Like, that's like I'm better than you. We're playing this out. I'm going to get your $1. I'm going to get your $2. I'm going to get your $5.
I've made 2 MTT final tables this year, and I refused to chop both times. And I made it all the way down to heads up. And even this last one, like, Ari was trying to give me an extra $10,000 or $11,000 to just end it and chop it with him. And he had a 3-1 chip lead with me. But I play with Ari a lot. I adore Ari. And, the difference between 10,000 and like 40,000 is a lot, and I don't get the chance to play for that money that often. And I told him that, and I'm like, it's really not personal, but it's not worth it to me to chop. You're gonna have to beat me. And to his credit, he did.
Yeah. I mean, you're committed to the strategy at this point. I can't imagine a scenario where you would chop now. I mean, you're just gonna have to bank one of these things for the full amount, and we'll all be there to pat you on the back when you do.
I hope so.
I mean, not that Not that second place in this.
Yeah,
thing
you
is
can pat
any
me over
sort
the
of-
back over second.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's awesome.
Twice, 2 seconds. Do they equal a first?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to watch. The sweat is so much fun. That's like probably the only joy that I get out of poker tournaments is the sweat when I have someone that I know, running deep in one. It's always fun. Sweating Brad finishing 4th in that Stormex 5K that he went deep in was super cool. I saw him the Monday at the lodge when I was there working on their tables. I saw him briefly and, we chatted and whatever. And then, of course, he just got wrecked on that stream. And I was like, oh, man. It's brutal. Feel bad for the guy, and it wasn't like 2 or 3 days later he banks his biggest tournament score ever for double that amount. So pretty cool. It's super fun to sweat people that playing for relatively life-changing money for a lot of people. Maybe not for Brad, but definitely a nice score and definitely changes things for him. Pretty sweet. Okay, so that was no chops. Refusal to make change. Basically, any sort of money help, I would file this under. Like sometimes it's like, hey, can I cash app someone to get cash? And like you've got a wad of cash in your pocket, and you're like, no, fuck off. Not you. If the whale asks, sure, I got 10K in my pocket. What do you need? But yeah, sometimes or just simple, like they don't have the amount for the small blind. It's like, no, I'm gonna make the dealer do it. Could be a fuck you to the dealer, just a fuck you to the player, but just like, no, I'm not going to help you.
It's a bigger deal in tournaments when like people just like want the emotional boost of having a lot of chips in front of them that they won't make change for people and they'll make the dealer ask and stuff.
I hadn't thought of it in the tournament scenario. I was thinking really just
I feel like I encounter it more people that don't want to make change or just like a little prick about it. Happens more so in tournaments, especially with like I feel like in old school tournaments, they used to keep a lot of chips on the table and it was just like constantly building. But now they do so many color ups and do so many things to keep, like, people need to cooperate and make change if you're going to take a lot of the chips off the table at, intervals.
As a dealer, I find it particularly obnoxious when there's way too many chips on the table. Cash game, tournament, makes no difference. I do not mind making change. If you're a dealer that is any good at all, you're making change before you even need to. Like, you know where it's coming from. You see when someone calls with a big chip and you're like searching for where the change is going to come from. I've taught other dealers how to do this. Like, just be preemptive about it. And it slows the game down way more when a guy is calling $200 with all fucking red chips. It's like, put some green chips in the table. Like, when I'm dealing and somebody does that, I snag whatever small chips they just called the bet with and I just color them up immediately from the tray because I'm like, okay, if you're going to use the small chips like that, I'm just going to take them off the table. It's very like angry dad kind of behavior, but it's like, just don't do that. You're just slowing the game down. Like, it's way faster to make change than it is to count out piles of small chips. It's so stupid. I absolutely hate that. But I'm definitely in support of like having the big chips on the table, even in tournaments. It just is going to make things quicker.
And I'll give people a live tell read. The people that count out chips, 2 chips at a time, like if they're $5 chips and they count them 10 out at a time, if they're doing that shit, they have it. Just fold.
Well, there's also nothing
like the player that's so nervous and doesn't know how to stack their chips, and then all of a sudden they're making a very deliberate counted out bet. Goodbye, honey, in the muck. They got it.
Still waiting to find like a world-class player that stacks their chips in stacks of 10.
I can do it for you.
Okay, number 2. This was your add-on to the list, and I really, really like this. You get passed on for a seat.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a seat in the game or an invitation to the game at all. Or it's like just you're next on the list, and it's like, no.
Just politics. Off. Game runners are the reason why game runners exist is because we want to have the best game possible. And when there's a game runner involved, they are going to try to keep the games as soft as possible because that is their job. So as pros, it's our job to, not, get all butthurt about it and act normal and know that, we are going to get passed off. Like, I know, like Westlake Matt, the kid, Maddie, my baby, who I adore. Like, he gets passed up all the time and he's okay with it because if he gets in the game, he wants the game to be good, and he'll always say it all the time, but he is no stranger to the pass up because people fear him because he studies really hard and he's really good. Yeah. And he applies crazy pressure.
Yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense, but it is still a middle finger, a little bit of a middle finger.
It's a little bit of a
no. Not
I'm
yet.
So sorry. You don't drink at the table. You don't tell dirty jokes. We're going to let Brad in first. Whoever it is.
Of course. Number 1, slow rolling. We've talked about this before. You said you really just don't care about slow rolls.
I'm not. I don't care when I am slow rolled. I don't care to slow roll people. If I go on Max Payne Monday again and I have an opportunity to slow roll someone, I'll do it because that's the bit of the game. But for the most part, it's not funny to me as the one doing the slow rolling. And it's not funny to me as the one receiving the slow rolling, but it also doesn't make me mad. There's so many things make me mad. Like, you can find one if you're listening to this podcast for ways to tell me. Like, I'm sure you already heard 3, but slow rolling is not one of them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a macho thing or what. I think it's just like the moment that someone doesn't turn over the winner, you're thinking, okay, like you're counting the chips, and then when they do turn over a winner, it's like they're taking them away from you, even though they weren't yours yet. You go from, say it's a $200 pot and your head's up. You go from like, okay, I'm plus 100 to like, oh, no, just kidding, minus 100.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Like, damn. And you'll see it sometimes where someone maybe is out of position and they check with the intent to raise, but then the person checks back and they're like, fuck. But you kind of know what's going on there.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, good check back because they had it. They wanted me to bet. Okay, good. Like, I've got 2 pair. You got the straight? Yep, got the straight. Oh, man, what a check back. Like, great job. You saved yourself some money. But it's the one where, like, yeah, you've shown your hand or verbalized your hand. But like, I have 2 pair. And they're like, oh, man. Yeah, I went. I got straight. You motherfucker. It's just I've always said, if you're going to slow roll someone intentionally, they're either like your best friend or your worst enemy. It's one of the two. Like, you don't really do it to anyone in the middle. And I kind of have this like bit that I will do when I play. If there's friends of mine at the table, like as I'm grabbing my seat, I was like, I will slow roll you if I get the chance, and I will slow roll you if I get the chance. Everyone else, I'm just going to turn over the winner the moment that
You're just such a fun guy. Just such a goober. Just such a rapscallion, a family man who knows how to have a good time.
I do just
not with drugs or alcohol, but just with, rapscallionness.
I do play the game for fun. Like, kind of like we were talking about. I'm the opposite. If someone like invites me to a 25-cent, 50-cent game, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm in. Like, let's go, you son of a bitch. Let's do it.
Yeah. And I'm sure I sounded like a crazy loon to a lot of people, but I just...
Conversely,
I would rather get drunk with you at a bar. If you want me to be fun, drunk party, Caitlin, like that's why you're inviting me to my micro stakes game or your micro stakes game, invite me to the bar. Just take me to the fucking bar. Try to fuck me. Like, I would rather do that than the damn micro stakes game. Please, just try to fuck me.
Conversely, you were talking about work, and if someone was like, hey, you're funny when you're in the box and quippy and this and that, and like, oh, can you come deal my 5-cent, 10-cent game? I'd be like, no, thank you.
There you go.
Right, to make your point. Yeah, it is kind of funny, but I would deal my quarter 50 game because it's not a quarter 50 game.
I have to deal tonight. I still have my dealing gig. I still do it.
Ooh, sweet.
It sucks that because my damn nails are in so much pain. Maybe I can see my manicurist and get them taken off, but I'm so bad at dealing. But I'm really good at teaching them how to play poker, so they keep me around.
Honorable mention on the top 5 is running it once only. It's honorable mention because it's not really an FU. I can understand why someone just only wants to run it.
This guy
once.
fucking yesterday on the stream, or it was the day before, he turned the nuts versus me and he one-timed me. And I'm like, homie, I'm drawing dead. When I saw his hand, I'm like, why are you one-timing me? You have the motherfucking nuts. I'm drawing dead. And it was just like that. He was like, nope, one time. And like when I see that guy, he's going to be one time for life with me. Like, I hope you enjoyed one-timing me when you had the nuts because I'm a one-time you when you have a draw.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about. That's where it is kind of like a fuck you. But there are some people that are just like once, only, ever, always, because they don't want to be exploited. They don't want to be played hard against because they think that you'll be soft and let them run it 2 times, 3 times, whatever. But I don't know. Some people just want to protect their image and only run it once. And I understand that. So it's not really like an FU, but kind of is. Got any hands you want to talk about? I haven't done a hand review in forever.
Oh, I can do a hand review. So I wasn't involved in the hand, but when we were 4-handed at the tournament, it was me, Ari, Victor, and forgive me, I don't know the 4th gentleman's name. And the 4th gentleman had queens in versus another player. I think it would have been... I don't know, but it was queens versus ace king or ace queen.
I think it was ace queen.
It was ace queen.
Which is particularly gross.
I know. Oh, yeah, it had to be ace queen. It had to be ace queen. So it's ace queen or ace jack versus queens. and there were 2 kings on the flop, king on the turn. So now it's kings full of queens. And anyway, the board ran out quad kings so that the ace high took it down.
Super gross.
Yeah. And that's how a guy got bounced out of the tournament, like made it all the way to the final table. And I think he got 4th place. I think that was either 4th or 5th place. But yeah.
Had he doubled up at that point, would he have been healthy? Would the ace queen have been down to crumbs? Like, did that make like $10,000 or $15,000?
Well, here's the thing. The player that had the ace high he was the chip leader for a brief moment when we were 5-handed, because he got them from me. I was the chip leader, and then we got into a hand where it was like I was betting for value because he was, no offense, sweetheart, but he was acting like, a little loosey-goosey over call-y, like he didn't want to believe people. So I went bet with an ace medium kicker, which I normally don't do, but against that player, I was trying to make value and bounce him from the tournament. Anyway, he called me with like a slightly better ace. I think he pipped me by 1 or whatever. So he had a ton of chips. And then this quad king's hand he was about to get bounced. That was his all in. And instead he eliminated the other player. I think they were roughly even with chips.
So what do you suppose that single hand, if you had to put a number on it, what do you suppose it cost that guy? 10K, 15K?
No, I don't even want to say, because it's like at that... Yeah, when at that point in the tournament, you have to win all ins, and like, yeah, he got it in with queens. I think he can hold his head high. But I think it was the difference between him winning 30,000 and 40,000, something like that.
So 10K, yeah. 10K-ish ICM. Mm-hmm. Man, that's why I don't like tournaments. That's just so brutal. And that's like best case scenario, right? You want to be in those spots. Like when you sign up for the tournament, you want to be in that spot where you're flipping for.
Well, another part that I haven't gone over is I was almost bounced from the tournament when we were down to 3 tables. We had already had the redraw. I think there was something between 21 and 24 players left, somewhere in that range. I get ace king suited all in, and I get called by ace jack, and he tanked forever because he knew I had him dominated because I was playing extremely solid, and it went bet 3, bet shove. So he knew he was dominated. So I guess he was throwing like a huge extra long funeral for his hand because he only had like half a big blind or 1 big blind behind or whatever, but he still decided to tank for like probably to the point where a player that wasn't me called clock on him. And then they came over, and then we ran out the board and, just jack on the flop. So my ace king gets demolished and I have to hand most of my stack over him. I got down to 4 big blinds, and that was in, 3 levels before the end of the tournament. And I doubled up once versus the guy who had taken my chips, and then I got 9s in versus 7s. So then that got me back to like 1.2 million right before the final dinner break or whatever the hell it was. But yeah, never count yourself out. I was down to 4 big blinds.
One of these days, the next time you do this, I think I'm just going to have to like set up a camera and record, because I was dealing at a game and someone I had my phone out and just kept like refreshing the Instagram feed, and then had the tournament clock locked on my phone so that couldn't go away. And then other players doing the same thing, and everyone just like shouting the updates. It's just, I think it would warm your heart to see a table full of poker players, all that know you, just like wanting to be. It's like a little. There? This is like a little kid.
Cry. I know Chad was there.
Everybody
he was
just like
loving
shouting like, "Oh, Caitlin just doubled. She doubled. She's got 10 big blinds now." And like, "Oh, she's not dead. She's not dead." And like, I mean, it's really, really cool. I think it would warm your heart to see people sweating your success, which is cool.
No, another thing as we're wrapping up, another thing I wanted to say was, so I binked the tournament 2nd place finish. And that happened at about like 2:45. I get home at like 3:30. I have a really hard time sleeping. After I have giant wins, it's just, you have so much adrenaline. Like, good luck falling to sleep after you win 50K, y'all. Like, good luck. So I did not fall asleep, but I was scheduled to be on the stream the next day. And this was a stream where I had asked for it like months in ahead because it was the only costume stream they were doing. And I really wanted to be on it because I like to, do Halloween and wear fun costumes and all that. So I didn't really feel like I could cancel. So I showed up, I honored my commitment, and I just like fucking lost it because I was so pumped full of adrenaline and so pumped full of just, like sleep deprivation that I'm really not proud of the way that I acted. So my apologies to and I mean, I lost 10K, so I'm not going to apologize too hard to my opponents because, they put me on tilt and they got my money. But I wanted to apologize to the production staff at the lodge because that wasn't my best day in the office. And I think they really did a good job of protecting me, both in the final edit and people making comments and whatever. So thanks to my friends at the lodge who had my back, who were very understanding, that knew that I didn't get any sleep and I wasn't my best self. So and I struggled a lot with like humiliation and embarrassment over how I handled myself on Monday after just not sleeping and trying to make it work. So my apologies to Slick Rick and Skull Mike and Damon and anybody I gave the finger to. There are at least 3 dozen of you. I'm sorry, like it wasn't my best day, and there was some stuff going on with the stand-up game that we'll have those conversations off camera or whatever. But I just was really tired and cranky.
Do we need to edit the list as like the double birds? That's like the ultimate.
I flicked off so many people. It was really bad. It's not like the fact that I'm like using my podcast platform to apologize and say I'm sorry and I'll do better. I need to do a better job scheduling myself because these like little meltdowns that I've had like 2 or 3 of them this year, and they're always as a result of just like me not scheduling myself properly.
Yeah.
And of course I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to, not be my best self all the time. So I want to give myself the same compassion and patience that I would my friends if they had a similar situation where they lost it. But I do want to hold myself to a high standard and be a good leader in the community. And that's not a proper way to act. So I'll do better.
Also, one final shout out, Joe, whom was at the lodge, and you had texted me because you were like, hey, I'm kind of pressed for time and I don't think I can make it, and like just quit this week, and you're using the vape still, which is like helping you. So I was like, damn, like I really, really want to help, but no, I'm locked in the box. I'm dealing a game. I can't really help. But I'm like, maybe I know somebody there. So I happened to know that Joe was there, and he was playing a tournament of his own. He was playing their Sunday freeze out, and he had a really, really healthy stack. And I was like, hey, is there any chance you could run and grab something for Kaylin? He's like, yeah, sure. He's like, I got break in like 15 minutes, or I could just go now. He's like, I got a healthy stack. And I'm like, no, don't bleed off your stack. Just, whatever. So he goes on his break, and he went to one gas station, and then he texted me. He's like, hey, they don't have like either of those things. Where should I go? And I was like, I have no idea. I don't buy this stuff, so I don't know who has it. So he went to a second place, got the stuff, found you, got it to you.
That's it.
Yeah. The run good vape.
And I went to pay him $20 for it, and he said, no, Craig's got me.
Yeah,
so Craig took care of me, y'all.
So here's the thing.
I owe you $20.
No, we made a deal, and you were like, oh, that's so sweet of you, thanks. And I was like, well, you can pay me back if you win. So everyone that was sweating you when they were like, oh my God, she's heads up, she's playing for it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I got $20 on the line here, guys.
So cute.
And then when you found out you finished second, I was like, fuck. I just lost $20.
So funny.
Kaylin lost $40K in value, but I lost $20. Let's not forget about me here. It's $20 I'll never see again.
All right. Should we do Harsh But Fair and wrap this bitch up?
Yes. You're too fucking famous for me now. We're only doing a podcast every month and a half.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Oh, that. I don't know. All right. On the Texas Poker Experience, we like to end the same way every week with a segment we call Harsh But Fair. In Harsh But Fair, we are roasting one another. We're giving each other feedback, and we say that you're not allowed to respond to your feedback. You just say, thank you, Harsh But Fair. Would you like to go first?
Yes. For Christmas, I will be getting you an alarm clock.
Oh, my God.
Because apparently phones don't work.
They don't.
We communicated heavily yesterday as to what time we were going to be in here, and there was a tight time window. And so then it was like, okay, not going to freak out. I'll wait till whatever time. And I was like, I'll text. And then I texted, and I was like, well, okay, I'll wait 5 minutes if I don't get a response from the text. And then I called, and the moment, the manner in which you answered the phone, I was like, she's in bed right now. Like literally getting out of bed. I'm here in the studio. We were supposed to start 10 minutes ago, and she's getting out of bed.
I got here in 15 minutes, though, didn't I?
I don't know if it was 15.
I made it. It was 15.
We're here.
You called me at 11:15. I was here at 11:30. I rolled out of bed. I put on clothes, and I came here.
You made it.
Yeah.
You made it.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of apologies this week from your girl.
All right, go ahead. I'm skinny. I have pointy elbows. You can see my cheekbones, my jawbone.
Okay.
I'm boring. What else you got?
You're making this harder.
I know. Going with the 8 Mile defense.
Your harsh but fair is that you refelted all of the lodge tables, and that's manual labor, and you did that because you're a bitch. And you have to do manual labor to earn money, so harsh but fair.
I refelted 61 tables in 25
that's some grunt
days.
work. You a grunt. You a goddamn grunt, Craigers.
It's been such a shuffle, and not a single one done inside of the lodge. It's all been like wheeling them out, doing them somewhere else, wheeling them back in. Oh, man. But kind of like having a gym membership, except the gym pays you.
Yeah, because you really needed to lose weight, Craig.
No, tone up a little bit and just kind of,
Oh, that's tone? That's what that is?
That's what I call it.
No, you look good. You look good. You look good.
Tone.
I would literally murder someone to have your body. Is like the rude part about me. Like mean to you all the time about your body because I literally want it. Like I want to be long and lanky with a little bird chest like you. I want it. I want it.
How would you portray yourself as Robbie J. Lou if you had a little bird chest, though? You can't do it. The video.
I would obviously get breast implants if I was naturally built like you.
I won't.
They're not that expensive, and you can find any number of dumb men to buy you boobs.
It's true. Probably true.
I imagine. Mine came with the unit, as it were.
Will it be another 6 weeks before we do this again, or will we do it?
TBD, but I would like to be back sooner. Okay. I mean, we got to get Slick Rick on. We got to get Nate on. We got a lot of people that I want to get on. So, yeah. We got to make more.
I got a few people that are definitely interested as well that I think will add a lot.
Cool. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Texas Poker Experience on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pods, Amazon Music, any place where you're enjoying it. Leave us a review. That helps us out a lot. Tell your friends about us. And until next time, remember to put the straddle on.
Do not be a nit.
Goodbye.